Hey crew, here's Pitt, and I am back with some more in the quest for freedom. We are looking once again at Agenda 47. We are going through Trump's actual words for his actual plan on what he actually wants to do when he wins the election in November. What is his plans going into January? How is our life going to change? We're going to go through, and have been going through, to see what his actual plans are in his own words. This is not the Heritage Foundation or any other think tank with questionable motives. This is him saying what he wants to do. So we're going to dive in and we're going to check out Agenda 47, a new quantum leap to revolutionize the American standard of living. Let me get that bigger and transferred. Oh, wrong.
Past generations of Americans pursued big dreams and daring projects
Amen.
that once seemed absolutely impossible. They pushed across an unsettled continent and built new cities in the wild frontier. They transformed American life with the interstate highway system. Magnificent it was. And they launched a vast network of satellites into orbit all around the Earth. But today,
some people are already screaming, there's no way, there's a firmament, there's no way. That's not true.
our country has lost its boldness. Under my leadership, we will get it back in a very big way. If you look at just 3 years ago, what we were doing was unthinkable. How good it was, how great it was for our country. Our objective will be a quantum leap in the American standard of living. That's what will happen. Here are just a few of the ways we can do it.
Here we go. Tell me specifics.
Almost one-third of the land mass of the United States is owned by the federal government, with just a very, very small portion of that land, just a fraction, 1/2 of 1%. Would you believe that? We should hold a contest to charter up to 10 new cities and award them to the best proposals for development. In other words, we'll actually build new cities in our country again. These freedom cities will reopen the frontier, reignite American imagination.
I want to do that, but I want to do that without governmental interference.
And give
right? Like, that's ultimately one of the goals, is to have the crew come together. Now, I understand it won't be the entirety of the crew, but the like-minded members of the crew who want to live in relative freedom should congregate in the areas that are the same.
Hundreds of thousands of young people and other people, all hard-working families, a new shot at home ownership and, in fact, the American dream. Another big
that I'm with, though. Like, we should be reinvesting. I don't know about building houses, but if we were actually improving infrastructure in an efficient manner with what we have, we would be a lot better off.
Opportunity is in transportation. Dozens of major companies in the United States and China are racing to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals. Just as the United States led the automotive revolution in the last century, I want to ensure that America, not China, leads this revolution in air mobility.
That's an awesome thought, but the regulation of that is a big problem, right? We have a problem with people breaking FAA airspace with drones, much less with a car. And if you have that many people doing their own thing, it's going to be really tough. So in order for it to happen, you would have to have such stiff regulation that I'm going to be naturally opposed to it.
Breakthroughs can transform commerce, bring a giant infusion of wealth into rural America, and connect families in our country in new ways. Likewise, through our Strategic National Manufacturing Initiative, which is going to be very big and very, very successful, we will turn forgotten communities into hives of industry, producing the goods we will no longer import from China.
That I'm on board with.
We will also have a major initiative on lowering the cost of living, with a special focus on lowering the cost of a new car and lowering the cost to build a single-family home. And they will be beautiful homes. And I will ask Congress to support baby bonuses for young parents to help launch a new baby boom. Finally, I'll challenge the governors of all 50 states to join me in a great modernization and beautification campaign getting rid of ugly buildings, refurbishing our parks and our public spaces, making cities and towns more livable, ensuring a pristine environment, and building towering monuments to our true American heroes. Very importantly, I will also make sure all of these new places are safe. We love and cherish our police. They will do the job the way they have to. It is time to start talking about greatness for our country again.
That I
will
agree with.
dramatically increase living standards and build a future that brings our country together through excitement, opportunity, and success. Thank you very much.
All right, so absolutely, I am fully on board with investing in us, whether that's pulling our troops back from overseas and investing them on our border, or reinvesting in our infrastructure, putting our youth to work, much like the Job Corps did. Right, there was the Civilian Conservation Corps, and there was all kinds of things that we used to help spur the private businesses that took their place. Everybody on the libertarian side likes to scream about their roads and how they would do their own roads, and that's just a lie. I say it all the time. I like taxes. Taxes are a privilege. I want to be able to pay more taxes. I am endeavoring to increase my tax bracket so that I can pay more taxes, because being able to pay somebody else to do the things that you can't or won't do is a privilege. That's what taxes are for. You're not going to get out there and build a road, and if you do, your neighbor's not. And if this neighbor does, then that one damn sure is not. What more likely is going to happen is you're going to wind up having to do both of theirs. And so it makes sense to take a portion of the money that people have to build the infrastructure that people need. Our problem isn't with the taxes. Our problem is with the way that we use the taxes. It's that we're sending money to this place overseas that nobody knew about 2.5 years ago, even though they had been invaded 4 years prior to that. Like, nobody knew where this place was. Some people did. Like, some people pay attention. But our money has been sitting over there for no reason. Our money is being distributed to places we have no control over. That's what we're mad about. If our money was being taken and we had the best schools on the planet, the best roads on the planet, nobody would be bitching about paying their taxes. The problem isn't the taxes. The problem is us being not responsible for holding our legislatures' feet to the fire. Figuratively speaking, of course, so that they are held accountable for the things that they do with the money that we let them do with. This is our money. We should be in charge of where it goes, but we're not going to micromanage it. You're not going to micromanage it. I'm damn sure not. I'm not building a road. I can't do that. Like, I could, but I can't. So, like, the argument's weak against taxes. The argument is strong for let's make sure our taxes actually do the things we want them to. That's what we need. We should be investing our money into things that will make us better, whether that's infrastructure or education, strong defensive borders, right? The things that will help us to be better, not the things that are keeping people susceptible to poverty. And that is the entitlement system. Next up, we are going to be diving in and checking out Reclaiming America's Independence by Slashing Biden's Disastrous Trade Deficits. Now, part of this is going to be nullified by the fact that we no longer have candidate Biden in the race. But not all of it, because the policies will carry
Under
over.
Joe Biden's nation-wrecking policies, our trade deficits are exploding like never before, killing jobs,
True.
killing factories, and killing America's economic future. As president, I began to successfully slash
But stock prices are up, so the economy must be doing well.
our trade deficits before the pandemic. Now the Biden administration has us bleeding wealth on a historic scale like never seen before. These gigantic trade deficits are also known as losses. Last year, we lost $383 billion to China and nearly $1 trillion all over the world, the largest trade deficit in the history of our country by far.
And that ain't even counting the billions that we gave away to a country to sink into nothing. Just the one country.
Through these
that nobody knew the name of a couple of years ago.
unsustainable losses, we are handing China more and more of our jobs, more and more victories, and long-term prosperity in exchange for cheap, disposable consumer goods. We foolishly...
And that is an American responsibility, right? I get the fact that tariffs are needed because people can't be responsible, but in a real, truly patriotic American country, you wouldn't be buying that crap.
send China hundreds of billions of dollars, and China uses those dollars.
And yes, I am just as guilty as other people. Well, not just as guilty, because I do at least try to avoid it.
To buy up our real estate, our factories, and our wealth-creating industries, and they also use all that money to build up their military, and they're doing it rapidly. In short, Joe Biden is America on a path to subservience and economic ruin, and everybody knows it, and other countries are laughing at us. Under my leadership, we will end his gigantic job-killing trade deficits, reclaim our independence, and launch a great economic boom. When I was president, the so-called experts hysterically predicted that my tariffs on China, Mexico, and other countries would crash the economy. Instead, the opposite happened, exactly the opposite. Under my policies, we had virtually no inflation. We had tremendous job creation. We had rapid wage growth for the first time in many, many years. And we had more than 17,000 new factories open up for business right here in the USA. Through my strategic national manufacturing initiative, we will do it again. We'll be bigger and better and stronger than we've ever been. And we did a great job 2 years ago. We'll do even better this time. Thank you very much.
All right. So, yeah, we do, right? We do need to invest more in us. Part of that is increasing our manufacturing capacity so that we can compete on a global scale. But again, it comes down to a responsibility issue. If we are not going to take the responsibility as citizens to pay attention to the things that we are buying, it doesn't matter what we manufacture here. If you're not willing to pay a little bit more to have it produce a living wage for an American, like there's no way to change your mind about that, right? Like, people love to go to Walmart and get the cheapest thing. But I remember when Walmart had a pledge, made in America. That's not there anymore. Sam Walton's probably spinning in his grave like a gyroscope. But here we are. We're in a world where you can get everything cheap, knockoff, Amazon, Temu, call it in on the internet. It'll be here today or tomorrow. Made by some slave in some country that claims to be first world, and yet people are locked into factories. Cannot dissent of the government. But it's okay, because you got your cheap knick-knack. It again, right? I'm a big one for self-responsibility. I think that taking charge of your own life in a real way makes things better in your own life in a real way. And so I look at things through a lens of self-responsibility, and I don't see it a lot of the times in our people. Next up, Agenda 47, President Trump's new trade plan to protect American workers, continuing on the theme of Make Us Great Again. Let's go.
Joe Biden claims to support American manufacturing, but in reality, he's pushing the same pro-China globalist agenda that ripped the industrial heart out of our country.
True.
It ripped us apart. Biden and the globalists support raising taxes on American production. They support more crippling regulations killing American jobs. They support skyrocketing domestic energy costs.
Yep.
And they support massive anti-American multinational agreements that send our wealth and factories overseas. Very simply, the Biden agenda taxes America to build up China. China is the big beneficiary. We cannot let
that is 100% intentional.
Let that happen. And just a couple of years ago, it wasn't happening. China paid to the United States hundreds of billions of dollars and no other president got 10 cents, legitimately 10 cents from China. My agenda will tax China to build up America. The heart of my vision is a sweeping pro-American overhaul of our tax and trade policy to move from the Biden system that punishes domestic producers and rewards outsourcers to a system that rewards domestic production and taxes foreign companies and those who export American jobs. They will be rewarded and rewarded greatly, and our country will benefit. To achieve this goal, we will phase in a system of universal baseline tariffs on most foreign products. On top of this, higher tariffs will increase incrementally depending on how much individual foreign countries devalue their currency. They devalue their currency to take advantage of the United States, and they subsidize their industries or otherwise engage in trade cheating and abuse. And they do it now like never before, and we had it largely stopped, and it was going to be stopped completely within less than a year. As tariffs on foreign producers go up, taxes on American producers will go down and go down very substantially, and that means a lot of jobs coming in. Not only will this system end our gaping trade deficits, and they are massive right now, and bring back millions of American jobs, it will also bring trillions and trillions of dollars pouring into the United States Treasury from foreign countries and allow us to invest that money in American workers, American families, and American communities. This plan will be the linchpin of a new strategic national manufacturing initiative that builds on my historic success in ending NAFTA, which was a tremendous thing, a tremendous achievement. Nobody thought it could be done. And we did USMCA, US, Mexico, Canada, and it was an incredible thing. But we're also going to end other unfair trade deals, and we'll end them quickly. In addition, as a matter of both economic and national security, I will implement a bold series of reforms to completely eliminate dependence on China in all critical areas. We will revoke China's most favored nation trade status and adopt a 4-year plan to phase out all Chinese imports of essential goods, everything from electronics to steel to pharmaceuticals. This will include strong protections to ensure China cannot circumvent restrictions by passing goods through conduit countries, countries that don't make a product, but all of a sudden they're selling a lot of product. It comes right through China, right out of China, and right into our country. We will also adopt new rules to stop U.S. companies from pouring investments into China and to stop China from buying up America, allowing all of those investments that clearly serve American interests. We're not going to allow bad things to happen to our country anymore, and we will eliminate federal contracts for any company that outsources to China. Biden will never get the job done.
That's a big one. Like, that's Honeywell. That's Exxon. That's big.
He is weak on China because the corrupt Biden family has received millions and millions of dollars from entities tied to the Chinese Communist Party. Everybody knows that. They try and hide it, and the fake news doesn't want to talk about it. Biden's pro-China economic program puts America last, and it's killing our country. My cutting-edge trade agenda will revitalize our economy by once again putting America first. And by the way, we'll get along very well with China. And you know what the reason is? They'll respect us again like they did just 2 years ago. We will quickly become a manufacturing powerhouse like the world has never seen before. Thank you very much.
I like it more when he's talking about what he has done and what his plans actually are, as opposed to what he's talking about what his opponents are doing. And I understand that that is part of the game, that you have to be able to talk about your opponents in that way, but doesn't mean that I have to care for it, right? Did I miss something here? That one's done. I did. I missed one. Okay, so we're gonna check this one out. This is Agenda 47, reversing Biden's executive order embedding Marxism in the federal government. there's not a whole lot to add to the other one than other than what I've already talked about before, right? I'm a conspiracy guy. I love conspiracies. I don't believe them all, but I like to know them all. I don't believe we have a flat earth, but I do believe that there is an intentional communist degradation of the economy of this country. I believe that the people who are currently in charge are actively doing that, taking the money from here and putting it into other places. I believe that that's a conspiracy. I do. You can call me crazy. I am speculating. I am perfectly fine with that. But to me, it is blatantly obvious that they are taking the hard-earned wealth from this country and distributing it where they see fit. And to that, there's no other way to look at that than communism, right? Like the government taking wealth and distributing it. And so I see that actually happening. Now, this next one that we're about to watch deals with that too, right? The last one did, this one does too. Marxism is a very real threat. Young people are stupid. That's not to call any individual one person stupid outside of the context of knowing them, but as a whole, when we're young, we don't make good decisions. We tend to not have the complete of the information. Some of us grow out of that. Some people don't. They continue to do the same thing. Marxism, socialism, anarcho-capitalism, they live in that area. In the places where people don't fully think out the entirety of the situation, but they latch onto this one good piece and scream about it like, equity sounds great, but it's not. Guaranteeing outcomes is always a bad thing. Guaranteeing access is good. Guaranteeing outcomes is bad. So now we're going to check out this executive order embedding Marxism in the federal government, which is a bad idea, but is definitely happening. What happened there? All right, let's go.
Joe Biden recently signed a very sinister executive order mandating that almost every federal department and agency establish a Marxist equity, this is something new, enforcement squad to implement a woke takeover of the entire federal government. Every institution in America is under attack from this Marxist concept of equity. Instead of treating everyone equally, making decisions based on merit or qualifications, equity means that benefits are awarded and policies are enforced based on skin color and sexual identity. We don't think that's a good idea. It's a catch-all term used by the radical left to justify every one of its crazy programs. Climate change is now about fighting environmental racism. They falsely accuse law enforcement of racism to
because
explain why.
The mountain is racist, and the desert is racist, and the forest is racist. If you don't know that, I don't know where you even been.
Programs. Climate change is now about fighting environmental racism. They falsely accuse law enforcement of racism to explain why they must end cash bail instead of busting up bloodthirsty gangs that kill people all over our cities. With his inaction, Biden...
Back in the 30s, we figured out how to take care of some gangs, right? Like in the 20s and the 30s, that was the thing that we figured out how to handle gangs.
Is weaponizing every tool of government power to push this racism and this communism and Marxism, or whatever you want to call it. When FEMA, the EPA, and the FAA and IRS are corrupted and tasked with enforcing equity, freedom and equality under the law are absolutely dead. I will revoke this executive order on my first day back in office. I will look forward to it. The Oval Office is a wonderful place, but also a wonderful place to stop things that are very bad for our country from happening. I will instruct the Department of Justice to make clear that any such discrimination is completely and totally illegal, and to investigate the unlawful domination and discrimination and civil rights abuses carried out by the Biden administration. I will immediately terminate all staffers hired to implement this policy and eliminate all offices and initiatives connected to it. We will not allow it to happen. I will create a special team to rapidly review every action taken by federal agencies under Biden's equity agenda that will need to be reversed. We will reverse almost all of them, maybe, in fact, all of them. I will also urge Congress to create a restitution fund for Americans who have been unjustly discriminated against by these equity policies, and I will restore merit-based federal civil service. I will get this extremism out of the White House, out of the military, out of the Justice Department, and out of our government. We don't want it in our country. The United States of America will be strong again. Thank you very much.
All right. So, I find it wild, right? I grew up, I talk about this all the time, so it's not some big reveal. I grew up in a house that was racist, like full on, like say the words in earnest and mean them racist. And I'm on a different path now. Like I say, the house I grew up in was racism was not a stranger, but it is a stranger in the house my children grew up in, because we don't do that. God gave me a revelatory experience where I understood that everybody is his child, and because everybody is his child, in order for me to make a decision about somebody else based upon a trait that God gave to them is foolish, right? If you make a decision based upon melanin, you're a racist. It doesn't matter if it's a lack or an abundance. If you make the decision based upon skin tone, you're a racist. If you make the decision based upon genitalia, you're a sexist. It doesn't matter which sex it is. It doesn't matter if they got big bumps here or not. You're a sexist, right? If you're making choices based upon what somebody else does in their private life, you're a hater, right? Like you have hate in your heart. That ain't got nothing to do with you. That's their decision about their life. As long as they're not harming anyone and everybody's consenting, let people do them. We don't need to be involved in that. God can handle that if he needs to. That's not up to you. We need to get past this idea of making these choices based upon the most arbitrary thing about us. There is so much more to a human being than the color of their suit. Like that's crazy to me, right? But then again, like I'm aligned with God, and I walk a very narrow path with that. Communism is just as dumb as racism, right? It's the same fundamental flaw type of situation, right? Racism is you're fundamentally flawed into thinking that someone else is better or less than because of their skin. Well, communism's fundamentally flawed in the way that it assumes that people will ever act in a perfect way. That will never happen. There will always be bad actors. It's part of the experience. That's why we're here. Some people will always choose the wrong side of things. It's not because they have to, it's because they want to. And so we have to make sure that we are standing where we need to be. That is for freedom. That is for equality. That is for opportunity. That is for the pursuit of happiness. Not guaranteeing everybody's going to be happy. When you try to guarantee that everybody's going to be happy, then nobody is ever happy. It's just the way that the physics works on that. Finally, we're going to check out one more. This is Agenda 47. President Trump continues to lead on protecting Americans from radical leftist ESG investments. And this ties right into with all the rest of them, so let's go.
I'm very proud that as president, I issued a historic rule banning Wall Street and employers from pouring your 401ks, pensions, and retirement accounts into so-called ESG or environmental, social, and governance investments for political reasons, strictly for political reasons. These
terrible
people are
idea.
sick. These poorly performing woke financial scams are radical left garbage that would never be funded on their own and certainly never be funded on their own merits. The entire ESG scheme is designed to funnel your retirement money to the maniacs on the radical left. The rule we issued under my leadership was the first ESG ban anywhere in the world, and I'm delighted that Republicans in Congress and across the country have been waking up to this threat and following my lead. Unfortunately, Joe Biden gutted my ESG rule, and now his Department of Labor has declared that fund managers can play politics with our seniors' hard-earned savings, and play it they are. Biden has already crushed your 401ks. If you take a look at the 401ks, when I was there, they were going like a rocket ship straight up, and now they're going
I haven't looked at the latest numbers, right? So I have no clue on that.
like
I don't have a
rocket ship is
401k.
crashing. But pensions and retirement accounts, with his radicalism and incompetence, they're going down, and they're going down big, and nobody's seen anything like it. With his action and with this action, he's trying to use your money to fund fringe left-wing causes at your expense. You're paying the price for all of this, and it's destroying our country beside. When I'm back in the White House, I will sign an executive order, and with Congress's support, a law to keep politics away from America's retirement accounts forever. I will demand that funds invest your money to help you, not them, but to help you, not to help the radical left communists, because that's exactly what we are. I will once again protect our seniors, just like I did before, from the woke left. And the woke left is bad news. They destroy
Bad
countries.
news, baby.
Thank you very much.
All right. And again, that goes right back into the DEI stuff. The ESG and the DEI are like this, right? Investing in things is good. If you take the time to investigate whether something is worth the risk, and you feel that it is, and you having the ability to invest in something and getting a return from it is a good thing. Someone else being able to take your money and say, well, we have this business here that needs funding, and it has a great business plan. The bricks are all laid in such an order that this building should be firm. But we have this other one where this person meets these check boxes based upon skin or genitalia. And so we're going to give it to this one, even though those aren't even bricks. It's just sticks, and they're probably going to break. That's a problem. Making decisions, like decisions that not only affect you in the primary who is trying to obtain the funds, but all of the secondaries who are providing the funds. And to give it to somebody who's not the best investment because they fit this little box is just dumb. Like fundamental level foolishness. That is, I cannot think of a worse way to possibly invest your money. It's the same for investing in your politicians, though, and people do it all the time, right? Oh, they have a vagina. I'm going to vote vagina this election cycle. Oh, this one has melanin. I'm voting melanin this election cycle. That's dumb. You don't even know what their policies are. You don't know what they stand for. That's dumb. At least be informed. If you were informed and you were on the other side, so be it. We can disagree. That's the wonderful thing about our republic. You don't have to live in my area. I don't have to live in your area. We can completely disagree on a wide variety of things. It's the beauty of our republic. But at least be informed about what you believe. Honestly hold the beliefs. Don't do it because somebody else told you to. Don't do it because don't vote because your daddy did. Don't vote because your union tells you to. Vote because you have looked at the people and you agree with the things that they are saying. That's as simple as it is. Like, I have my preferences. Trump is my candidate. I am loving everything that he is saying here for a reason. I have done the investment, I have invested my time into understanding what he actually stands for. That's why I'm doing this, so that I can help other people understand that too. He's not about holding you back. He's about building us up. And the best way to help neighbors is to help yourself first. To be in a position where you can help neighbors. As it stands right now, we are not helping people. We are hurting us. And that's a problem, and it needs to end. I think that Trump's the best way to get there. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion, maybe even a little bit of levity to some very serious topics. These are things that we need to take the time to consider. understand where you stand. You don't have to stand exactly with me. You don't even have to stand relatively close to me. As long as you fully understand what and why you stand where you do, I am perfectly happy, even if I lose. If you like what I'm doing here, let me know down below. Give me a like, share, and a sub. Throw me a comment. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree. As long as it stays respectful, it gets to stay up. If you really like what I'm doing, hit me with that super thanks. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. This has been Pitt State. Peace.